Bohet shukriya. There's a lot of misinformation in Western media. Your motivation to show me as much as possible. I will be Pakistan's ambassador when I come back.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hafiz Ramzan and I am coming to you from across the world, and we have a very special guest and his name is Timothy Jones, right? So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Hafiz. It is my honor to be here.
What are you doing here?
That's a good question. What am I doing here? Well, it's a long story, but first, let me just tell you that my name is Tim Jones, and I am from the United States of America. I live near a city called Seattle, and about 14 years ago, I started humor writing.
Right.
But 3 years ago, my lovely wife suggested I create humor videos, and so I did. But I didn't know anything about how to do that.
Is she really lovely, or you're just saying on the camera?
I think she figured if I spent more time recording videos, I'd be spending less time with her.
Oh. So how we met together? Would you please describe this?
Yes. Quite by serendipity. We met because I was looking for someone to help take my recordings of humor videos and edit them, add sound effects, images, background, captions. I didn't know how to do any of that. I didn't want to know. So a friend of mine told me about a website called Fiverr that has freelance marketing, technology consultants and freelancers all over the world. And so I went to the website and I stumbled upon Hafiz Ramzan and Next Studio.
Yes.
So I didn't know anything about you, but I reached out, explained over the internet what I was looking for, and you responded within like an hour.
Okay.
And that's how it started.
So why did you choose me, not others?
Because everybody else turned me down. No, that's not it at all. That's not it at all. You were very responsive. You made it clear that you understood what my needs were. And I have to admit, I was a little apprehensive because you were 12 hours ahead of me, literally across the world. And I didn't know you. I didn't know your experience. So it was sort of a leap of faith to try to work with you. And I said to you, how about we do a couple videos together as an experiment? And if I like what I see, I'll continue to work with you. And that was 3 years and 4 months ago. And we've been working together ever since.
How long you have been here in Pakistan?
I'm coming up on exactly 1 week.
Why you decided to visit Pakistan?
Well, I got on the wrong flight in Istanbul. No.
That's crazy.
I have known you for 3 years.
Right.
For the last 2 years, you and I have talked about someday, maybe, inshallah, we could get together to meet. And we explored having you come to visit me. We explored me coming to visit you. And what started out as a business partnership turned into a friendship.
That's right.
And that friendship turned into a very close friendship. And then you introduced me to your then business partner and also close friend, Hamad. And I became a close friend to Hamad too. And
how you became very close to Hamad as well?
That's a great question. And the reason for that is after we started working together, you and I, doing humor videos, eventually we had the idea together to perhaps create a project where Americans learn a little bit more about the Pakistani people, its culture, its values, and Americans learn about Pakistan and Pakistan learns about America.
And there are so many things going over social media about positive, negative. There are
a lot of misinformation. Yes. And we thought this might be a bridge, a small bridge, a tiny bridge, but a bridge to improving our understanding of each other's cultures. Not only what's different, but also how much we have in common. And while you and I started recording these videos together, eventually you introduced me to Hamad.
Yes.
And after time, it became Hamad and I doing these videos.
Yes.
And over time, I started to learn more about Hamad and his background and his history. And we became close friends too. And to answer your question, it came to a point where I felt I just want to see my friends in person.
So basically, you and Hamad became very close due to a project that named Across the World.
That is right.
Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
So when you decided to visit Pakistan,
Yeah.
so I remember one thing when Michelle posted an update on Facebook that you guys are coming to going to Israel, Egypt, Jordan, stuff
Yes.
that countries, and also to travel to Pakistan.
Right.
How was your friend's reaction? Yours and Michelle's as well.
Well, the reaction to the first part, going to Israel, Jordan, and Egypt as part of a tour,
Yes.
that was just, oh, that's fun.
Yes.
And then things in Israel got completely out of hand, and so we canceled that.
Yes.
But I still wanted to go to Pakistan. And my friends' reactions were very interesting. A few of them had the reaction of, oh, isn't that dangerous?
Yes.
Because of the misinformation in the news.
That's true.
Are you going to be safe? We know the answer to that now, of course. But most of them, the reaction was, why Pakistan?
Yeah.
Because Americans generally have not visited your beautiful country. They don't know anything about your beautiful country. And I told them my reason is a little bit to learn about this culture that I too knew very little about. But it was mostly, I wanted to see my friends. I wanted to see you. I
Not
wanted
Pakistan.
to see Hamad. And Pakistan is part of it,
Yes.
but I also really wanted to connect with you in person because you
Me
and I have
or
been talking. Mostly Hamad.
Oh, really?
But no, both of you, of course. Both of you. Because we've been talking about this for 2 years.
Yes. And tell me, what was your wife's reaction when you decided to come to visit Pakistan alone?
Yeah. A lot of people might have thought that that's odd, that's strange. But my wife, she just wasn't able to travel. She had
Yes.
too many commitments, and I didn't want this to slip. And her reaction has been nothing but positive. She thinks it's wonderful that I'm going to this very different culture
Yes.
and experiencing something that, to use her words, is pushing me outside my comfort zone. And that is true. I'm not as adventurous as my wife. So this is different for me. And she is very supportive of it and very happy.
That's wonderful. So we can say she's really lovely.
Yes, I'm a very lucky person to have my wife.
You have been here for a week,
Yes,
right?
1 week.
And how horrible your experience is?
Terrible. No, terribly wonderful. It has been a life experience for me. Even though I've only been to 2 cities, Lahore and Islamabad, I've learned so much about your history, your culture. I've met some of your friends. I've met family members of you and Hamad. I have been surprised and overwhelmed by how kind everybody is.
I know we are meeting on a Zoom occasionally, right?
Yeah.
And you're meeting with Hamad and me sometime as well. And so what do you feel the difference meeting on a Zoom and meeting in person?
You know, you can only understand a person so well over a video call. You can't hug them. You
Yes.
can't shake their hands. You can't see the nuances of their body language
Yes.
that you see in person.
Yes.
And I think one of the greatest thrills of my life that could never have happened over a Zoom call or a WhatsApp video call was when I came out of the arrivals gate at the airport in Lahore at 5 in the morning.
Yes. What were you thinking when you were entering into the Pakistan, when you land in Pakistan and coming out of airport, right? And what are your thoughts? And
I was excited because I was going to see my friends. I was a little nervous because what am I doing in Pakistan? It's so different from my world. But I was particularly a little anxious when the doors opened and I saw what to me looked like 2,000 people all waiting for people to arrive. And I'm thinking, how will I ever find my friends?
I'm going to be kidnapped.
Yes, and I could take a nap. I was pretty tired, 22 hours of flying.
Right.
But then I saw you, and I saw Hamad, and I know you saw me first, and
Yes.
that was one of the most exciting moments of my life.
What was your reaction when you saw me or Hamad first?
As I described it to some school children today, my reaction was, wow, this is amazing. I tend to overreact. That's who I am.
So you spent, I believe, 3 days in Lahore. In Lahore.
The first 3, and then 3 in Islamabad, and
Yes.
finishing up in Lahore.
So, particularly, if we talk about first 3 days in Lahore, can you summarize your day?
Yes.
Those 3 days.
Yes, it was a combination of seeing some historic, important cultural sites like the Badshahi Mosque and the Lahore Fort and things like that, mixed with meeting family, meeting your dear friend Uzman. Hello, Uzman.
Nice.
And going to the Wagar border
Yes.
ceremony with your friend Iqbal.
Yes.
And meeting your friend Hamad's family.
Yes.
And everything was wonderful, but it was the connection with you, your friends, the family members I met.
I think you are forgetting about my sons, right? How you can forget? How dare you?
It's been a week. I'm tired. I had the chance to meet your family. I think our very first full night I had dinner in your
Yes.
home. And it is my understanding that being invited into someone's home and to meet their lovely children
Yes.
and to be introduced to their spouse is an unusual honor reserved for family. And you made me feel like family that evening.
Yes.
And I will always remember how honored I felt.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I believe we left Lahore at 2nd of December, right?
I think that's right. I think that's right.
And how was your travel from Lahore to Islamabad?
It was thrilling. I've never experienced the kind of traffic that we experienced in Lahore.
Yes.
Between the motorcycles and the scooters and the cars and the trucks and everybody weaving in and out of traffic.
Overcrowded, right?
It was chaos.
Yes.
But everybody is quite used to it.
Yes.
I was not, but it was exciting to me to watch. We had about a 4.5 hour drive to Islamabad, and we stayed at a very fancy hotel, and it was just great. It was great.
And I think you are invited in Connected Pakistan conference.
I know where you're going. Okay, you have to remember I'm a humor writer.
Yes.
So there was a conference of technology freelancers and consultants in Islamabad,
Right.
and you decided, let's stop by and see what's going on.
Yes.
I have to admit, I thought it was sort of an odd suggestion
Yes.
because we just got there. But I have learned to go with the flow, to just follow your lead. So we went and we walked around, and there was this big awards event going on.
Yes.
In this big hall, and they were congratulating various winners. And I said to you, do you think my name might be called as a winner?
Yes. And they call you.
Well, they didn't call me, but I decided I should be prepared for an acceptance speech. So I stand there in this hall, and I'm just going, thank you, shukriya, thank you. I'm sure everyone around me was thinking, who is this idiot? But I had fun.
You enjoyed that.
I
right?
enjoyed it.
So we spent 3 days in Islamabad. If you were asked to summarize those days in Islamabad you spent,
Yeah.
how will you summarize that? What's the difference between Islamabad and Lahore? And maybe you compare your country with Islamabad.
Okay, well, it seemed from my very limited perspective for just a few days that Islamabad was a little less chaotic, a little more modern.
Yes.
Of course, it's the capital of the country, so you can expect it to be a little bit more organized and tidy and things like that. We went to the National Mosque, the Faisal Mosque, and we went to the National Pakistan Monument, and it was beautiful and interesting. But what I'm going to take away is how many times people could see that I was different. I sounded different. I looked different.
Yes.
I probably gesticulated different. And they came up to me.
Yes.
And they were always curious and
Behaving
warm
like a
and
celebrity,
friendly.
right?
They wanted to shake my hand. They asked where I'm from. Not once did anyone say, "You're from America. Oh, bad." Nobody ever said that.
Yes.
And I, again and again, in Lahore and Islamabad, that's the impression that will stick with me more than anything, is how nice and friendly and inviting and welcoming everybody was.
So last night in Islamabad, I think we had dinner at Monal. How was your thoughts on?
It was lovely and terrifying.
Really?
The dinner was lovely. with a view of the city lights below. You couldn't ask for a nicer place to have dinner with the company of my dear friends. Getting there was terrifying. It was a switchback of roads in darkness, not well lit, and blind hairpin turns. The driver didn't want to take us there because he said, my car will not make it up the hill.
Yes.
It did, but here's an English expression. It was a nail-biting drive.
Yes.
That means scary.
Really difficult, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So give you another new experience which decided to travel via local bus.
Yes.
And from Lahore to Islamabad, we travel in a private car, right?
Yes.
And how you feel about local traveling?
Well, this was a quite luxurious coach bus. I've been on many like it before in other countries, and it was lovely. It was spacious. I was wondering if this might be a bus filled with 113 people and 75 chickens. I didn't know what to expect, and it wasn't like that at all. It was just fine. And they stopped at a rest stop after a certain point. And at one point, the bus driver slowed down, and I understand from Hamad that he slowed down because he was going, not that he was going too fast for the speed limit, but that he had to make sure he didn't arrive at this particular destination point too early,
yes,
to avoid a fine. That was different for me.
As I know about you, you have visited lots of countries, right?
Yeah.
Spain, Jordan, I believe so, just Spain or other countries, right?
Many countries.
Many countries. And you now visiting Pakistan.
Yes.
And you are from USA.
Yes.
Right? So what's the main difference you feel about people of Pakistan and the country and other countries?
Well, I don't know.
Or is there any?
I don't know that I can compare Pakistan to any given country. That would take forever. How about we start with comparing it to my country? Because that's the one I know the best. And I would say, and again, this isn't about one culture better than another culture. I love my country the way you love your country.
Yes, yes.
But what I saw here is a great respect for family,
right,
and for elder people.
Right.
I get the clear sense that someone of an older age is honored and respected.
Yes.
And in my culture, sometimes, by no means always, but sometimes we ignore the needs of our older family members sometimes, because America is such a youth-oriented culture.
Yes. So how will you differentiate Pakistan and other countries in a traveler's perspective?
Well, I think, again, we're basing this on 1 week's worth of data.
That's true.
But what I found is everybody here tried to make my journey as easy and as pleasant as possible. Everything from guiding me through a hotel when I didn't know where I was, to helping me avoid embarrassment when I walked down a hallway without any shoes on, and the hotel staff employee generously offered to get me some sandals to help me avoid embarrassment.
Right.
Little things everywhere. People are just really, really warm and inviting. And I was kind of expecting to be viewed with a little bit of suspicion and distrust. I never experienced that once, not once. There are other countries I've had that kind of experience from, but one of the things that I found interesting in Pakistan is many of the people speak a little English, and that surprised me.
All right.
I thought
nobody knows
English,
right.
And I know like 3 or 4 sentences in Urdu, and all it took was me saying Assalamu alaikum,
right,
or Bohet Shukriya, just a couple words, and they lit up.
So can you describe how many words you have learned?
Next question, please. I can count to 10.
Yeah,
I'm going to try. I'm probably going to mess up, but ek, do, teen, char,
5,
panch,
6,
she,
7,
sed, at,
great,
no, das.
wonderful.
Did I get most of them? Maybe.
You done that well, very well. And coming back from Islamabad to Lahore,
Yes.
we visited an orphan school. How's your thoughts on that?
One of the greatest experiences of my life. It was going to visit a school where they're teaching these 63 young orphan boys from I think they said like ages 5 to 14 or something like
Yes,
that. I
sir.
may be off a little. It resonated with me for several reasons. First of all, I'm the adoptive parent of 2 orphan baby girls
Yes.
in China, so I connected with it personally. But hearing the values that the school's leaders are trying to instill in these children about empathy, about reaching for their potential, about leadership,
Yes.
life lessons that will help them be successful in a way they never could have possibly had. I mean, there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things in the world, but what's happening at that school and other schools like it is life-changing. And
That's
so
wonderful.
I was not expecting them to ask me to talk to a room full of 63 students. Did not see that coming,
Yes.
but it was a joy.
Yes.
It was an honor, and it'll be one of the things that I will never, ever forget.
So I'm going to ask you the same question that little boy has asked you. What are your best moments of life?
My best moments in
Being
life.
in Pakistan.
Well, my best moments in life start with my adoption of my 2 daughters.
Yes.
And my wedding to my wife. That's first. But my third greatest happiness in life was the moment I saw you and Hamad at the airport
I appreciate
early on Wednesday morning. And finally, our friendship was complete to see each other in person.
Yes.
And the fourth moment of joy and happiness happened today, just a few hours ago, at that school for orphan children.
That is wonderful.
That will,
Fantastic.
that will be with me forever.
So if we were to summarize your whole trip,
Yeah.
how will you summarize that?
I would summarize it by saying there's a lot of misinformation in Western media about the people of Pakistan. And yes, the culture is different from the country I live in. The roles of men and women are very clearly defined here. They're a little bit less clearly defined in my country. There are differences. And anybody who spends a week in your country or mine,
Yes.
you will see the differences.
Definitely.
But what I saw were how much the 2 cultures had in common. I think Americans, and there's many, many wonderful, wonderful Americans. Most Americans are wonderful. But I think there are lessons that Americans could take away from my experience about how to treat people with kindness, patience. You get, the 2 of you treated me like I was royalty. And I really appreciate that. It's going to take me some time to figure that out completely. The first word that comes to my mind is exhausting, because I am tired. But it's a good tired.
Yeah.
I wanted to see my friends, and I wanted to experience a little of the culture of
So
Pakistan.
I am hoping I did not overwhelm you.
No, and that makes me realize, okay, I'm with you and your dear friend, and now my dear friend Hamad,
Yes.
for a week. And I saw your motivation to show me as much as possible.
Right.
Fill my agenda with, don't leave any empty time.
Right.
And your partner in crime, Hamad, he had a different motivation.
Yes.
And it was, I like to call it my protector.
Yes.
Don't overwhelm Tim. Don't take him to restaurants that he might hate the food, because Tim's not the world's most adventurous eater. Look out for his safety. And it was wonderful that you wanted me to have a good time, and Ahmad wanted me to have a safe time.
Yes.
It was great. It was
So I
wonderful.
just came into my another question that we had played a cricket as well. In
Oh,
Rugby.
yes, yes.
How's your thoughts on that?
I thought I knew you. And I do know you, and I do know Hamad. But the 2 of you on that night, late at night, in Islamabad, on a rooftop that had fencing or something around all of it, so that you could play
Yes.
cricket on the rooftop of a building. The 2 of you had a 1 versus 1 competition.
Yes.
And it got very intense. And both of you got incredibly competitive. It was all fun. It was all good natured. But you both accused each other jokingly of cheating. And I won. No, I won. And I never saw that side of you. And so I remember saying to both of you, Hafiz, Hamad, that's the most American I've ever seen either of you behave.
So you are summarizing your whole trip.
I'm so glad that I was able to do this.
Yeah.
I will be back. I will be Pakistan's ambassador when I come back to let all my friends know, because that's the first thing they're going to do for the next
really means
for the
to
next
me.
2 weeks. All people are going to ask me, tell me about your trip. Tell me about your trip. Tell me about your trip. And I will say nothing but wonderful praise for everyone I've met. Everyone. It's been life-changing for me. I'm hoping, as much as a little bit of Pakistan rubbed off on me, I'm hoping that a little bit of America rubbed off on you. And particularly one way, and that is how we pose for pictures.
Yes, that was wonderful. I really enjoyed every time you post your whole day.
Yeah.
I really enjoy. I was laughing. Hamad knows that I was laughing and laughing.
And by that, for those viewers who don't know what I'm talking about, it is my sense, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that in Pakistan, the men who are posing for photos, at least with other men, stand serious, don't really smile, hands to the side, maybe hands here. Almost like you were at a military academy and it's attention time, very serious. But we don't do that in America.
Yes.
We hug, we smile, we put our arms around each other. That's how we take pictures. And so toward the end of our trip, we were getting ready for pictures. Many times, I'm standing there with my arms like this, the appropriate Pakistani pose, and you would say, Tim, let's do an American pose. And you'd put your arms around me and a big smile. And I thought, good, a little positive of America has rubbed off on you.
So I just came to mind another, the best moment when we were visiting F9 Park, Fatima Jinnah Park, right?
Oh, yes.
And we met with a person who has very, same interest just like you.
Yes.
So how you feel that?
Well, for the viewers, what you're referring to is we're sitting on a bench in Fatima Park, and you see this man at another bench nearby, and you recognized him, and you said hello to him, and I'm thinking, there's over 1 million people here, and you know this guy? Anyway, you start talking, and then you tell me that this gentleman is a very well-known content creator, humor writer, and podcaster, among other things. And so I asked, could I meet him? And for me to meet another humor writer, another comedian, another person who has some of a storyteller like me, was amazing. It was wonderful. And we just instantly connected. And of course, we got the obligatory photo with him, and he did put his arms around.
Yes.
It was an American pose. It's been an honor, and thank you for being a great host and an even greater friend.
Okay. That's it. Thank you so much. And if you are watching from somewhere from across the world, you are more than welcome to visit Pakistan. We would love to host you in Pakistan. By the way, if you want to check out how we spend these days, you can just visit and you can just watch this montage.
Thank you.
Irfan Malik,
Thank you, everybody. Shukriya.
Usman Akhtar.